Hey parents, thank you so much for tuning in to this video. This video is really twofold. First, we're inviting you to our parent meeting on June 10th during our 11 o'clock service. And so we want you guys to be there. We're going to be talking about things for the summer as well, looking forward to the fall. But also this video is just to share with you some news that we're thinking about doing for the fall of 2018 when it comes to student ministry. But before we get into all of that, I just want to share with you a little bit of my heart of student ministry. You know, I love being a student pastor. I love serving your students. I love hanging out with them. I love middle school students and I love high school students. I love middle school students because they're at this weird, awkward stage in their life where they're really trying to figure out who they are as a person, trying to figure out their friends, their identity. They're trying to figure out all these things, but at the same time, they're also just willing to be goofy. They're willing to say what they're thinking. They're willing to have fun. And so I love hanging out with middle school students and just having fun, and a lot of that's because I'm a kid myself. I'm probably in the 8th grade range, but I also love hanging out with high school students. High school students are awesome because they're really getting to this point in life where they're making their own choices. They're really figuring out who they're going to be and who they are. They're at this point in their faith journey where they're starting to make their faith their own and not just their parents'. And so it's really cool just to be able to sit down and have coffee or have Chick-fil-A with high school students and talk about life and talk about friends and school and just their journey that they're walking. And so I love middle school and high school students. And so with that being said, if you've been at our church, you know, for the last couple of years, you've probably noticed that we are growing. We're growing really fast. Over the little less than 3 years that I've been here, our student ministry is growing as well. We've doubled our size in that time. And that's some really awesome news. We have, you know, over 70 students between middle school and high school students any given week. And so we're running out of space really in our student ministry, running out of space in our 9:30 service. And, you know, I just personally want to be the most effective student pastor that I can be. And so with all of these things kind of coming together, I've spent a lot of time talking with other people, talking with Zach, our worship guy that's also on staff here in the student ministry department. And I've also just spent time talking with God and seeking out God's direction for our student ministry. And that's where this video kind of comes in, because we're looking to do some changes here, some transitions here for the fall. And so we're really strongly considering doing is moving our high school service away from the 9:30 service and moving it to the 11 o'clock service. And this really just helps us as a student ministry to be the most effective student ministry for all students. And so we can pour into our middle school students during that 9:30 service. And we can make a service that's just for them, where they can have time to hang out, have fun, but also get some worship and get some biblical teaching in there. But then we also, during the 11 o'clock service, can have a service just for our high school students, where they can hang out and socialize and have worship with them and have teaching, biblical teaching that is really just for them. And so that's what we're thinking about doing come August. And so with this, you may have some questions. You may have some questions like, how is this going to help? How is this really effective in the long run? Or maybe questions like, hey, I have a middle school student and a high school student. What does this look like for me? Or, hey, we're a family that only attends one service, and that's been the 9:30 service. What does that look like? Or, hey, my high schooler, they serve in the 11 o'clock service, so what are they supposed to do? And maybe there's some other questions that you have. And so really, what I ask from you is that you just think about this. See, we want your feedback. We want to hear your thoughts. And so if you have any questions, I'd love for you to email them to me. And at our parent meeting on June 10th, I'd love to answer those questions in front of the whole group. I'd love to try to answer as many questions as possible. But I think this is just the best and most effective way that we can reach both middle school students and high school students and give them an environment where they feel like they belong. And so I'm going to ask you to do a couple things before the parent meeting. First, I want you just to think about this. Think about how this is going to affect your family. I also want you to pray about it. You know, as a student pastor, I've been, I have these decisions, and I spend a lot of time in prayer and asking God for direction. And so I'm going to ask you to do the same thing. That you'll be praying over this, praying over our leadership team, praying over our staff, praying over our church and our families in our church. And the third thing I'm going to ask is that you just come to our parent meeting. Because in this parent meeting, I'm going to share a little bit more of my heart in this. We're going to share a little bit more of the reason why and how this can really help and be effective for our whole student ministry and for the long run. And so please be there. Please be there for our meeting, and please also just spend some time in prayer. I'd love to hear from you guys.